flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike, murdered and massacred night after night, while the so-called leaders of countries afar debated on who's wrong or right. But their powerless words were in vain, and the bombs fell down like acid rain. But through the tears and the blood and the pain, you can still hear that voice in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. A blinding flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike, murdered and massacred night after night, while the so-called leaders of countries afar debated on who's wrong or right. powerless, words were in vain, and the bombs fell down like acid rain. But through the tears and the blood and the pain, you can still hear that voice in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. A blinding flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike, murdered and massacred night after night, while the so-called leaders of countries afar debated on who's wrong or right. But the powerless words were in vain, and the bombs fell down like acid rain. But through the tears and the blood and the pain, you can still hear that voice in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike, murdered and massacred night after night, while the so-called leaders of countries afar debated on who's wrong or right. But the powerless words were in vain, and the bombs fell down like acid rain. But through the tears and the blood and the pain, you can still hear that voice in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. A blinding flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike, murdered and massacred night after night, while the so-called leaders of countries afar debated on who's wrong or right. powerless, the words were in vain, and the bombs fell down like acid rain. But through the tears and the blood and the pain, you can still hear that voice in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. A blinding flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike, murdered and massacred night after night, while the so-called leaders of countries afar debated on who's wrong or right. But they're powerless, the words were in vain, and the bombs fell down like acid rain. But through the tears and the blood and the pain, you can still hear that voice in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike, murdered and massacred night after night, while the so-called leaders of countries afar debated on who's wrong or right. But their powerless words were in vain, and the bombs fell down like acid rain. But through the tears and the blood and the pain, you can still hear that voice in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. A blinding flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women and children alike, murdered and massacred night after night, while the so-called leaders of countries afar debated on who's wrong or right. Powerless, the words were in vain, and the bombs fell down like acid rain. But through the tears and the blood and the pain, you can still hear that voice in.
First of all, thank everybody who's taken the time to come. And it's very exciting to see so many women, and in particular, so many young women who have come out for this important cause. You know, it is only with the passion of the youth that change can happen. And we think that the untapped potential of young women can make a huge, huge difference in building the Palestinian solidarity. So before I start, some of the speakers are not here. We have two people who are having issues with some transport and traffic. But I'm going to start introducing, of course, firstly, Mersha Andrews, who is a stalwart of struggle in South Africa. She has a long history of political participation, and she has she's also a stalwart in the Palestinian support, Palestinian solidarity movement. I think that if you go to any meeting on Palestine, she's likely to be there. She's also, I mean, I think that one of the most important things about her work is that it continues the issues of land dispossession, which the Palestinians face in a very acute way. She still works in that area of work, so she's a director of rural, a rural NGO, focused on land reform and farm workers' issues. So I think that if I could ask you to please welcome Mersha. I'm sure she doesn't like this formal. The other person is Fadwa Ringquest. She's a shop steward from Kusatu. She's a woman leader in her own organization. I think shop stewards play an invaluable role in making sure that workers' rights and supporting workers' rights in the institutions at which they work. They are leaders of their own particular groups in that, and I think that I'm very happy to see that young women taking an active role in building kind of workers' rights in South Africa. So I would like you to warmly welcome Fadwa. The other two speakers are Chawita Wenana from Equal Education. I think many of you know the work, the sterling work done by Equal Education to bring equality. You know, they were the ones who first brought lawsuits against the state for not providing toilets for children, and they are the ones who fight the inequalities in schools. So you see, I think that our education system is it's based on two things. The one side, you have very high levels of education and facilities for those who have, and then we struggle with facilities and education for the poorer children who have to go to government schools. So I think equal education plays a pivotal role in actually making education more equal. So I think that she will come now. She already sent a message. Zahra Gabriels is also going to be a speaker. I think she's part of the Al-Quds women's group and MJC. I'm sure she'll be here shortly. And of course, Muna Al-Kurd. I'll introduce Muna Al-Kurd properly before she speaks, but just so that you know, it's amazing, the new technology has created an amazing opportunity for all of us to put forward the struggle, take it forward in a different way. And here I'm speaking to the young women and the older women. Because I think the young women often think that activism is about sharing a post or taking a picture with a Palestinian scarf. It is important, but it's critically not the only thing. It's not about your image I'm not criticizing you, I'm just saying that sometimes you see that people conflate what they think is their personal image and the look to being real political struggle. But real political struggle is not about a picture or a click. It's about making the work of the organization go further. So Muna Al-Kurd has got 1.6 million followers. It's almost 2 million people. It's a massive amount of people. And they follow her not only because she looks good in a Palestinian scarf, they follow her because she is on the ground. And her slogan, I'm sure you've seen, is "We resist to exist." For them, for the Palestinian people who are resisting forced removals, her struggle is not a joke. It's not about an image. It's about the real conditions on her ground. You know, and how she, and I was privileged to hear her speak 2 days ago, and the thing that struck me was that she said very eloquently that the struggle is not about me. It is about the people of Sheikh Jarrah. And I'm sure when you came in, you saw all the pictures of the people here. So when we speak, we don't speak for the voice of us only, but we speak for the voice of those who are marginalized. And I think that it's really important for us as women to also recognize that we play a pivotal role in society to actually bring forward the struggles of people, because it's women who, when they suffer occupation, who have to deal with the after effects of being homeless. They have to deal with the effects of being unemployed. They have to deal with the effects of being hungry. So as women, we all sit here as women, how can we make sure that not only do we think about our own circumstances, but about the circumstances around us? I'm not giving you a lecture. I'm just trying to raise the questions for debate. So I'm hoping that we can have a discussion today. I'm not speaking at you. I'm just speaking to you, and we hope that, you know, the format of this meeting will be, we'll ask each of the speakers to give a short input, and then once all the speakers have given their input, we can participate in a lively discussion. So if you think I'm really talking nonsense, please make notes and just ask me the questions, or ask one of our very eminent people. We have people who've got very deep experience in organizing. So ask the audience, and also just throw out ideas on how we can build better solidarity for Palestine, how we can build intra-solidarity within South Africa. You know, what can you do within South Africa to actually forward? Because, I mean, the question of justice is that it's universal and it's applicable to everyone. So how can we make this justice that we support for Palestine also be part of our daily lives? So it's not my job to speak, but I've already said a lot. I'm going to ask Mersha if she could come forward and say a few words. I'm just sorry about a little bit about the disjointedness of people not being here, but we have to continue, because I think there's a huge audience outside of this hall. Mersha?
So, Amandla. Amandla. This is a political meeting. So let's join in to make it powerful. So my name is Mersha Andrews. I've been introduced. And it's a pity Muna isn't here yet to start the meeting together with you. I've come today to share the theme, I think, or part of what we were asked to talk about today was to look at women's activism. How do we build activism at multiple levels? And I think it's a very important topic. And often, as women, as ordinary people, we tend to underestimate the small acts of activism that we are involved in. And I think one of the things I want to focus on today is about the weapons of the weak. It's a phrase that, even though I don't have to get up and be in the front line of the march or the first one to confront the police, I can encourage others to go to the march, to book the bus, to organize people to be here today. That's part of our activism. So we're going to come back to that, I hope, throughout the presentation of others. And my sister here was a bit nervous, and I think her everyday existence in a factory and having to deal with bosses and resisting those are all acts of defiance, acts of resistance, and the weapons of the weak. So, I have been an activist for a long time. And my activism started because I grew up in District 6. I think many of you know District 6. And my mom was a very strong person. She was also a shop steward in a union. And she told us every day when we came home, as people were moving, as bulldozers came into District 6, we are not going to move. We are going to be the last ones to move from District 6. Anyway, through this, her every day telling us we're going to stay here, we're going to pack our bags, but we are not going to be chased. We're going to go when we are ready. So from this early time, this issue of being forced out of your community had a very deep impact on my life. So from being forced out of District 6, we moved to Woodstock. No sooner were we in Woodstock, I was about 11, 12, when again, the area where we were staying, we had to move again. So forced removal continued as a big part of my life. I grew up, I went to school, a very important political school. Some of you may know it, Livingston, up the road here. And that had a very big impact on my life as well. And I think maybe I should stop and we should have Muna. They've just arrived. Shall I stop and then I can just let the real host continue? Shall I?
Welcome, Muna. Welcome to Cape Town, and welcome to this meeting of women. It's lovely for us to receive you. Okay. Yeah, please have a seat. Find a seat there in the middle. That's great. Thank you very much. While everybody's settling down, I'll just give everybody a minute to settle down. I know that your program has been very hectic, so you must be tired, but thank you for still making the time to be everywhere. Okay. So it is really my pleasure to introduce Muna El-Kurd. She is a young female leader in her own right. And I'm really happy to welcome her here because I think she provides an example of what we strive for in activism. She has used, as Mersha has said, the many tools of struggle, using technology and using her presence on the ground and standing firm against the oppression and resistance that she faces. And I think for all of us, that is an example of for us to stand up in wherever we are against the oppression. The Palestinian people face eviction. It's really important for us that the Palestinian people come here to talk to us about the struggle because we share very many common experiences. We share the experience of forced removals. We share the experience of discrimination. We share the experience of oppression. And we can learn from each other, actually, about how to take the struggle forward. The Palestinian solidarity is part of an international solidarity where we seek to ensure that no person or no individuals are oppressed by a tyranny anywhere else in the world. And so she remains an inspiration for us. And so welcome, Muna. Everybody give her a round of applause, please. Muna, we unfortunately started just a little while ago, and Mersha is the first speaker, so I'm going to give Mersha the mic to continue. Thank you. Mersha, as I just for those who came in now, Mersha is an activist of note in the Western Cape. She's a long history of struggle, and she's a committed activist. And she speaks to you as a person who is experienced and who has done a lot of this before. Thank you, Mersha.
I apologize. I'm going to have to try and mediate where I left off and just pull it together again. So it's really good to be sharing this platform with a very young activist. I really, and also my comrade here that I know, Abdallah, I knew him from UCT. My daughter was involved with Fees Must Fall, and I had the pleasure of having many conversations with him and the students. So I want to say again that this issue of South Africa and Palestine is key. And often I am a very critical South African because I think that South Africans don't do enough. Often our contribution to the issue of Palestine is lip service. And I say it here to everybody. And I don't hold back on this issue. As I said, and as the chair said, I've been involved with Palestinian issues for a very, very long time. And so when I come here today and we have an activist here who's involved in a key struggle, we come to the meeting. And I think that's important. But it cannot stop at the end of this meeting. And often when we see the chaos and the bombs falling over Gaza, we rise up. And as soon as things have settled a little bit, shoops, we're quiet. No. To build a sustained movement must be like the solidarity that we received as South Africans from the international community. That's our task, people. And I'm very pleased to see some activists here from my old school, Livingston. There they are. And my activism started at your school. But I think we must begin to say that we need to do lots more in the country today to build consciousness. Because our conditions, our circumstances, as I said, influence us. I was evicted as a young child, like you have been. We resisted in District 6. And I think, I don't know how many of you are here from District 6. Can I see? Some of the comrades. But this issue of District 6 is a key issue because for over 50 years, they've never been able to build in District 6. Never. And we have to ask why. Because the spirit of resistance has continued. People in different ways have continued to struggle. So they evicted everybody, they threw down our houses, they destroyed District 6. But the victory was actually ours. The victory was ours, even though people often spoke a lot about the hurt, the problems, etc., etc. The reality is that their dream, the apartheid government's dream of building a District 6 with fancy flats for whites did not materialize. And it did not materialize because there was resistance. And the resistance continued in South Africa. And so I think we are shaped by those issues, but sometimes we need to do more. For young people today, and again, the chairperson said, activism is to send a tweet or an Instagram or a picture. That's fine. but it's not enough. We have to begin to ask questions. Why is it in South Africa today that we pay lip service to the question of Palestine? Why? Why is it in South Africa today that we continue to trade with Israel? Why? Why is it in South Africa today that people in government, wherever they are, in this province, there is a strong Zionist control over the city? Why are we allowing it? And then we still vote for them. I can't understand. So it's clear that we don't understand the Palestinian issue then, if we can't connect the dots. We have to connect the dots. Because the Palestinian issue is not about Islam. It's a colonial issue. It's a colonial occupation. And we cannot allow, in this day and age, colonial occupations. We fought colonialism in this country. We fought apartheid in this country. But what do we have in Palestine? Israel, and I think we must begin to call Israel what it is, an apartheid state. The way that it treats Palestinian citizens is worse than what we were treated as coloreds, Africans, Indians in this country. Worse. But we've not sufficiently called Israel out as an apartheid state. We've not told our governments, you were against apartheid for this country. Why are you not against apartheid of Israel? I think we must ask these questions. We called for boycott, sanctions, and divestment as South Africans. And if we make that call in this country today, how much traction have we had? UCT, and many of us are students who were at UCT. This UCT, we couldn't even get them to agree, to discuss a resolution, to consider divestment. So, where is our activism? And how far do we take this activism? So I am hoping that by the time Muna leaves South Africa, maybe we have, out of this audience today, and I've become a realist. The older you become, the more realistic we are, isn't it? I have some sisters here, comrades here who are in the Cape Town Palestinian Solidarity Campaign, along with Yusuf. And we know how difficult it is to have people to join our movement and stay. And this is an issue. So I'm hoping that by the end of today, some of you Livingstonians, you're going to give your name out there and say you're interested. No? And these are the kinds of things that we must begin to do. We must begin to ask people, join, become activists. Because our solidarity is the highest form of our humanity. If we cannot give solidarity to Swaziland, to Zimbabwe, to Rwanda, to Sudan, to Palestine, then we have become completely immune to the suffering of humanity. And I am asking us today to begin to rethink what the struggle for Palestine is all about. It's a consistent struggle. It's about building solidarity. It's about us giving of ourselves, of our humanity, deep inside of ourselves, and to begin to connect the dots. I think this, for me, is key. Amandla! Amandla! We said it's a political meeting. Amandla! Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mersha, for that inspiring talk. And as an elder of the struggle, I think you have every right to call people out for not pulling their full weight. Thank you very much. Just a little bit of a housekeeping notice. I'm told that there may be translators who are meant to assist. If you are here in the hall, can you come forward, please? Or is Abdullah here? Abdullah, you can take over your role if you want. Please join us on the stage. We're not a sexist organization. We allow women, we allow men to participate and also deliberate with us. Thank you very much, Abdullah. My next speaker is Fadwa. I'm sure she's feeling much better now. She was a little nervous, but I can see she knows now. This conversation is not going to be hard for her. Sorry, Fadwa, just 1 minute before I proceed. You can proceed. I just want to tell the audience that this visit was organized by Mizan. Mizan is an organization that supports political prisoners in Palestine. They do really crucial work there to ensure that as much as they can, they mitigate the awful treatment of prisoners in Palestine. And they're an important organization, and if you want to know more, Abdullah's role is not only that of a translator, but also that he plays a key role in Palestinian solidarity. So I also would like to welcome Abdullah Grifat to the stage, not only in his capacity as a translator, but for his activism. Thank you. Fadwa, you now have the stage.
Amandla. Amandla. So I wrote a few notes because I'm very, very nervous. I know you can all see in my face and hear in my voice. So I'll read it rather because just now I get a blank. First of all, I would like to say, Assalamu alaikum to everyone and good day to all. I'm Fadwa Rinquist and my name is, that was now, okay. Okay, I'll get it now. I'm Fadwa Rinquist and the meaning of my name is sacrifice because I believe that I've been holding up the meaning of my name till today. Because I'm living in Mitchell's Plain. I don't know how many of you is living in Mitchell's Plain. Mitchell's Plain, the way I see Mitchell's Plain is part of the ghettos. Let me call it what it is. It is the ghettos, where gangsterism is, violence takes place on a day-to-day basis. And all the abuse, the gender-based violence, everything is happening there. And I'm also a shop steward in the Clothing and Textile Workers Union. And okay. Can I just start quick again from that? Because I don't know why I'm so nervous now. Seeing that I represent so a lot of... Het gaan beter wees, ja, but it's because... Okay. Okay. Het voelt bitter as ek Afrikaans praat. Dis seker daarom wat ek so nervous is. Because it's actually difficult as 'n mens soos 'n mens groot geraak het, as ook wat duis iets wat 'n groot rol speel in jou lewe. Soos ek het groot geraak in Mitchells Plain in die ghetto, soos ek gesê het, waar ons almal die kombuistaal praat, die mix English en Afrikaans. So I think I'm trying a bit too hard. So ek gaan die altyd so chop and change English and Afrikaans. I hope you don't mind. Okay, I'm a shop steward in the South African and Textile Workers Union. And what that means is talking for people and fighting for workers' rights. Because people come from their houses with gender-based violence. Everyone have their own issues at their homes, and then still you go to work and you get deprived by other people. People will tell you, "Hey, hoekom is jy so moody vandag?" But jy weet nie wat is die persoon se probleem nie. Ons almal het mos problems in ons huise. Ons gaan mos nog nie deelsaam en almal because ons weet nie vir wie kan ons stress nie. Nou kom die paas ook nog ras en dan of hulle is racist of ons kry different soorte goede. So dis die rede, and because young women in die workplace environment word altyd geundermine. So dis die rede hoekom ek 'n shop steward geraak het om op te staan vir mense se regte in die werksplekke in. And if only waar was ek nou? Okay. So, and let I tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a hard-working parent. I've got 3 jobs because we all know it's difficult out there. Because the reason why you have to look after children, they want everything. These days, jou kinders wil Nikes dra, Adidas dra, en is so swaar, but jy wil maar net vir jou kind die beste gee. And I was young when I had my first child, so to tell you the truth, it's a struggle to survive, and it's the struggle is real in Mitchells Plain, because now you saw your child, if he's a boy, then they look at that boy, okay, you tall, this is how you dress, okay, so you must be a gangster, and if you're not a gangster, if you're not anything, and then young gangsters will take them and want to encourage them to join the gangs because they think that this is kwaai man, join die gangsterism, ons gaan vir jou kans gee and whatsoever. But now if we all in our communities can help the youth, make something and motivate them and talk to them and tell them that, look here, this is not the way forward. Because you're young, don't think that having a gun and doing crime and stealing, shoplifting and all that is kwaai, because that is not kwaai. Look up to people. But one day you must finish your matric and then you should buy your own car, buy your own house, because that's a dream for every one of us. So that is the reason I decided to be an activist in my community. So every day, when I come out of work, then I will just drop my bag because the whole road is waiting for me in front of my house, just to entertain them, to listen to them and what their issues and their problems is, because they are young. They're 5 or 6 and 7, 10, 12, and there's also 16, 17-year-old girls that is falling pregnant on a day-to-day basis. So I always encourage them that moenie skool nou losie. Wag tot wanneer jy op maternity leave gaan en dan as jy klaar jou baby gekry het, kry iemand om na die baby te kyk. Dan maak jy matriek klaar because that is important, because die dag as jy trou en dan jy trou op die jong age, jy het nog jou lewe experience en die majority van die Muslims, we how can I say now, when we get hamil, we see, look here, you must get married now to make the baby halal. And that is the reason, that is nou net die waarheid, and that is the reason we let the youth get married. But then again, we don't think, like, look here, why don't you finish your matric and then afterwards, then you can get married? Because sometimes, most of the time, then the marriages don't last. 6 months, then they divorce, then they're not married anymore. So, but alhamdulillah, ek is nou 16 jaar getroud, nog altyd met dieselfde man. And I only have one child, and he's just so humble. I'm just telling you a little about myself. And he's just so humble, also in the house, because I always talk to him like I talk to the children, like I motivate the children. I always tell myself, you must treat other children the way you treat your own child, because I still believe in that words the old people always used to say. And I think we must go back to basics. Treat iemand anders se kind soos jy jou eie kind sal treat. And then the world will be a better place. But most of us, hy nie, kyk hoe vuil is die kind, hy jyne die kind is op drugs, of hoe jyne, hoekom speel, laat jy sê, die kind is na jou huis toe kom, die maas drink elke dag, whatsoever, but ek sal altyd sê, ons moet nie kyk wat die maas doen nie, as ons kan iets betere doen, en vir hulle encourage om 'n succes te maak van hulle lewe en nie die steps te follow wat hulle parents, because nou ons kan nie ons ouers choose nie. No one can choose our parents because almal word different groot gemaak. So I'm trying. Ek dink moet weer na die bly toe gaan. My brein slaat so blank. Okay. Oh yeah, and then to Muna, I just want to say, we as people of South Africa stand in solidarity and unity with the people of Palestine. It's a disgrace and it's pathetic to see that apartheid still exists in Palestine. And the only way forward is that we all should stand together. Doesn't matter if you don't know what is happening. Tell that person, look here, this is happening. En weet jy, kyk elke dag TV nie. En because die youth, hulle hou nie van elke dag nuus luister nie. Jyne, mami, as maar net nuus sê vir my, wat is die weer? Because ek wil net weet wat ek kan aantrek, môre 'n jacket of boots of so. So, vertel vir jou kinders ook, kyk hier, jou hart sal seer raak hoe dit gaan daar so in Palestine. En wanneer marches en so, mobilize die kinders en mobilize die mense in die community, dan sal ons somewhere uitkom, because die goedes gaan al aan vir jare, al vir hoeveel jare en jare, and ek meen, it's time to stand up for our rights, and the only way forward is if we stand together in unity, and woman is playing a very important role, because the woman is always, men, sometimes, most of the men, they always degrade the woman, and they harass the woman, and they abuse the woman. But I think it's time that we should all stand up for our rights. And I think that will be all. And Muna, I just want to say it's a pleasure meeting you and seeing that you were young activists and you came to South Africa and encouraging people and telling them what is happening. And I think it's time we should get this message out everywhere so that, and we should do something. Okay, I know the unions like Kusatu, they always mobilize the workers and then they always will protest in Cape Town. So they are also trying to do their best, and I think we must just take it a bit further and stand firm and organize more and more people and really try hard to do something about that. Thank you and shukran.
Thank you, Fadwa, for a very inspiring speech, actually. I think that, Fadwa is an important example of what activism really is. Because for her to be an activist, she must sacrifice her time. She works extremely hard. It would be easy for her to go and sit in front of the TV and watch, some TV when she gets home and rest. But she chose to put her people and her community ahead of her own needs and requirements. And it's a sterling example of a life well lived. And I'm thankful for her to come, because often we think that the struggle is something intellectual. It's not something intellectual. It's the actions of the everyday people who make sure that they do the right thing. And solidarity comes from a place in the heart, Solidarity is a love for humanity. I think Mersha talked about your humanity is expressed by your solidarity. And it's not solidarity for a particular cause. It's a solidarity for the society and the world as a whole. We often get very angry when we see the suffering of people who look like us. But when we see the suffering of people who don't look like us, we don't necessarily respond. So I think that what we need to do is open our hearts more and more and say that we want solidarity and justice for all of the people of the world, and we want a different world. Because you can't look at the question of Palestinian solidarity in the absence of understanding the world we live in. We live in a world where the powerful oppressed the majority of the minority, very powerful elites oppress the majority. And that's why every struggle is interconnected. And that's why we wanted Muna to come, to say to her that our struggle and your struggle is one struggle. And when people often in every Palestinian meeting, they repeat the saying by Mandela, our freedom is not complete until your freedom is complete. And actually, our freedom as human beings is not complete when other people are oppressed. It is our duty and our responsibility. So thank you very much, Fadwa, for that. I mean, you really, you inspire me, because it takes work and it takes sacrifice and it takes effort to do the right thing. So thank you very much for that input. Our next speaker, we have very amazing women on this panel today, actually. The next speaker is Zahra Gabriel, and she is a medical doctor. She's from the MJC Women's Group, and she's also from the Islamic Medical Association. So I'm sure I don't know more of the good deeds, but I'm sure that when they chose her to speak, it was chosen with the sense that she does her own contribution to humanity in South Africa. And I think the reason we chose women from all walks of life is that no matter where you're situated, you can find the time and the energy to do something. And even a small action of convincing one person to join the struggle, one person to do the right thing, is in the right direction. When I was growing up, I was taught politics by a very amazing person, Mr. Lalu Chiba, who served 18 years in Robben Island, and he was my political leader. And one of the things he told me, he said, you see, the struggle is like a train, right? And everybody has to load their contribution on the train. Some people will put one brick on the train. Some people will come and they'll go the full journey with you. Some people will say, I'm getting off at the next station. But every contribution is valuable in building that train to freedom. So we're asking you to also see what is it you as a woman can do to build that train to freedom. But I'm sure that Zahra will tell us some of her ideas and how we can all contribute and her input. Thank you very much, Zahra.
In the name of God, most merciful, the eternally merciful, I greet you with the greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, Mulweni. May the peace and blessings of God descend on this gathering and on all of the world. I am so honored to be here and acknowledge Fazila Muhammad and all of the guests here, and we salute our Palestinian freedom fighter, Muna Kurd, from Sheikh Jarrah in the sacred city of Jerusalem. And we say to her, إحنا معكم, نحن معكم. We are with you. We are with you, and you are not alone. Like our leader and hero, President Nelson Mandela, said that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of Palestinians. And so we are with you in your struggle until victory, and your pain is our pain. Your story of fear, growing up in a state of fear from being evicted from your home and your land, as with 28 families in Sheikh Jarrah, and having your fear turn into reality in 2009, we see you as a symbol of hope. And we see in your eyes your bravery and your strength. And we see in your smile a young girl who also wants to be a young girl. So we salute you and we pray for your safety and protection. South Africans have a moral, historical, and political responsibility to raise our voices when injustice and oppression takes place. I remember being at university, at UCT, and starting in the year 2001, and being in a classroom of more than 200 classmates. We were more than 200 in one class. And we were about 10% Muslims, probably about 10 to 15% of the Jewish faith, and the rest were largely Christian. And I remember every time the Palestinian issue was raised, you know, people would say, this is too complex, this is too complicated, there's too much gray area, there are decades of conflict, I don't want to get involved. Even things like, this is divisive, this is going to divide our class, this is going to divide friendships. And, you know, we see that we have to be voices for freedom and dignity, and raise our voices against the only remaining apartheid state in the world. I remember my younger sister, her name is Rabia, and she's also a doctor. She was one of the people who went on the first Africa Aid convoy. And she once said that if you are South African and you are pro-Israel, then you are pro-apartheid. There's no two ways about it. And we see that the world is seeing Israel for what it is and calling Israel out for what it is. An apartheid state, a colonial settler state using brutal force and an army to subdue and intimidate Palestinians. And, you know, I'm on a large group of more than 250 doctors in Cape Town, very, very diverse group. And when the bombing started happening in Gaza in May of this year, when people started raising it on the group, you know, people immediately started saying, you know, this is not what the group is for, let's not be divisive, let's not talk about politics. And, you know, I mentioned something on the group saying that, you know, a long list of the 213-page document from the New York-based Human Rights Watch documenting that Israel is an apartheid state, and ending off saying that when you are neutral in situations of injustice, then you have taken the side of the oppressor. And this was the words of Desmond Tutu. As a young South African, my experiences are largely accounts of my parents and family and grandparents who were forcibly removed from their homes in Claremont and Wynberg. My real experience of the remains and the effects of apartheid happened when I entered university. And going from the main entrance of med school to the library, one had to pass through a turnstile. And I had some black friends, and I would see them giving way so that some of the white students could pass first through the turnstile. And I would say, but why are you stopping and giving way to other students if you were coming on first? And we see that this mentality and this systemized way of making people feel and think that they are in a slave-master situation did not end with the end of apartheid in 1994, that this carried on. I would witness how the apartheid system influences every aspect of the lives of millions of people. And I want to salute Fadwa as well. I currently work in Mitchell's Plain, at a practice in Mitchell's Plain, because it was my hope and dream to do that for many years. And I would witness every single day the effects of apartheid on the people of Mitchell's Plain, how the removals from areas into Mitchell's Plain, how the poverty, 1 in 5 South Africans live below the poverty line. 1 in 5 South Africans. Every single day, I would witness, I had a young mother who had a very, very ill child, and I called her and said, I've arranged for you to go to Red Cross Hospital. And she said, but doctor, I can't go. I don't even have a 10 rand on my name to take my child to the hospital. This is the reality that we face. I see ladies, and when they come, I ask, please tell me what work you do. And a lady would say, doctor, I'm just a cleaner, or I'm a domestic worker. And I would say, you are not just a cleaner, you are a mother that is brave and strong and getting up every single day to take care of your family and to work for your children. And we see the effects of apartheid in the poverty, in the gangsterism, in the drugs, in pervading people's lives every single day. I see young girls who come and say, doctor, I need to have an abortion because I can't have this child. I have 2 children, and I'm the only breadwinner in my house taking care of 12 people. I once saw, 2 weeks ago, I saw a teacher, and I cried with her. She was HIV positive, and she was failing on her antiretroviral treatment. And I asked her, I said, why, please tell me, what makes it difficult for you to take your treatment? Why, I'm really worried about you. Your CD4 count is dropping and your viral load is rising. Please tell me, how can I help you? She said, doctor, my life is so difficult. I have 2 teenage children that I take care of alone. And I financially support my 2 parents and my 4 sisters in the Eastern Cape and their children. And so we see how the system of apartheid, even people who have progressed to places of education, and they can't even, someone said to me once that UCT is struggling because the alumni base, more than 60% of the alumni base are now black Africans who are not pouring money into the university like white alumni had done before. And I felt such a deep sadness because I knew that even all of my friends on university, that each of them would be graduating and trying to buy their parents a home. That if anyone died in their family, they had to contribute to the funeral. One of my best friends said to me once that I walked into Pick n Pay. I was so hungry that I ate a pie and I left again. Can we imagine how dehumanizing that is, to be so hungry and to have nothing to eat? She's now a specialist earning good money, but she'll never forget that moment of hunger that she had to, and that point that she had to go to steal something in a shop. Yes, she later gave the money back, but this is the reality that we are living. I remember the saddest day in my years as a junior doctor at Red Cross Hospital when a 5-year-old girl was brought into hospital with an ambulance, and her mother was accompanying her, and she had been raped by her own biological father. We see that this system of apartheid that broke families and broke individuals, and that these challenges and consequences and effects of apartheid is something that we are seeing 27 years post-apartheid. And so we see that just like South Africa, Israel knows that its days that the time of its apartheid is coming to an end. And we see how they are increasing in their oppression and aggression and their stealing of land, knowing that their time of apartheid of ending its apartheid is close. As medical doctors, I have 2 younger siblings who are One is a doctor and one's almost a doctor. And just in the last 2 weeks, both of them had needle stick injuries from patients who were HIV positive. And I remember being a junior doctor myself, and 1 week after I had gotten married, I was doing a special TB test on a 3-year-old little boy at Red Cross Hospital. And he was trying to get himself out of it and maneuvered, and the needle went into my finger, and I had a needle stick injury. And this little child had 5 million copies of HIV per milliliter of blood. So it was very high risk. And I remember being married for 1 week and having side effects, vomiting. And this is the reality. South Africa is seen as one of the highest countries with HIV. 19.07% of people in our country are living with HIV. How are we reaching out to them? What is our humanity towards them? I want to end off by saying that I'm so happy to be here and to be part of this special occasion. And I like what Mersha said about that the highest form of humanity is our solidarity. And that we have to work every day in our communities, in our places of work, in our homes, in our neighborhoods, to end not only the problems and the consequences and challenges we are facing here, but to stand up for the only remaining apartheid in the world and stand up and see to it that it comes to an end. It's so hard to see what happens in Palestine and the parallels between South Africa and Palestine. I think, like Fadwa, I'm just trying to find my note here. I was quite horrified when I read a story about a young boy, Fani Goduka, who was 11 years old. And in the 1980s, he was detained for 57 days in the South African apartheid prisons. And even after he was released, he would dream at night that he was still locked in a prison, and he could hear the echoes of his own voice shouting and crying. He was charged with public violence and asked the 13 adults in his prison cell what that meant. And they told him that he was being held for throwing stones. SubhanAllah, we see the reality of that in Palestine, where thousands and thousands of young children are brutally assaulted and brutally arrested. And we see the parallels between South African apartheid and Israeli apartheid, and how almost every law of apartheid South Africa has its equivalent in Israel today. I want to also say a big welcome to the daughter of Imam Abdullah Haroon, Auntie Fatima Haroon, that's here in the audience, and also the wife, Mumtaz Haroon, Auntie Mumtaz Haroon of Professor Muhammad. We are very honored to have you here. And we see that the injustice of a almost 7-year-old girl who grew up without her father. And we see how Palestinians are living this kind of reality every single day. We ask ourselves, what can we do? And Muna said a few days ago in a speech that we have to be active and we have to be proactive. We have to raise our voices on every platform and in every workplace. We also need strong grassroots support to spark change. And I love how Fadwa is part of the COSATU and the great work that she's doing. And this is what we need. I mean, I work in Mitchell's Plain, and sometimes I wear a Palestinian pin. And a patient would say to me, "Doctor, I see you support the Palestinian cause. I also think that it's very bad what's happening there." And a conversation starts like that. And so we see how we need to have these conversations. We need to support Palestinians in their cause, and we need to rally our government. We saw the other night how Chief Mandla Mandela raised the issue of Miss South Africa and the need to boycott the Miss Universe that is going to be held in Israel. And how proactive he was in saying that he would try to get hold of Miss South Africa and try to link her with Muna al-Kurd so that she can show her support and solidarity. as she had stated that she is against crime against women and children. We need to build international solidarity by forming links, and we see how the social media plays such an active role in the activism and in this road to freedom and dignity for Palestinians. I thank you so very much for this opportunity, and I ask each one of us to ask ourselves what role can we play in the liberation and freedom and dignity of all Palestinians. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zahra. As I said, that women from all corners, and I'm sure every woman here, plays some significant role, not only in her own home, but also in the society in which she works, in the communities in which she's based. And often, I think we often dismiss the kind of work you do, the everyday little cog that moves the machine. Everybody plays a role, I think there's so much passion for Palestine in Cape Town. People have a love for Palestine, Muna, and they want to show what they can do. And it is our job to all of us, because we belong to organizations, we participate in the events of Palestine, to see what can be done. I mean, there's so many things, right? For example, there's a whole blood diamonds thing, and it's a cornerstone of the Israeli economy. And De Beer, so they were trying to have a debate, because, Israel was part of the committee that said, you shouldn't buy Sierra Leone diamonds because it's blood diamonds. And where's the story about the blood diamonds that Israel produces? And maybe when you get married, make sure that you're not buying an Israeli blood diamond. When you're putting in a new kitchen, there's these, I forget, they're not the marble ones, this other kind of a white thin thing that looks like marble, I don't know what it's called, that is produced in Israel, So when you buy your things, be conscious to make sure that you're not breaking the boycott. Clover, there's a boycott of all Clover products. Clover makes specials all the time, and we often, we just look at the price, oh, look at that, and you put it in your, be conscious, be a conscious supporter of BDS. That too is an important contribution you can make to the struggle. When you do your social media, try to coordinate with 10 of your friends, all young people. This week we're going to focus on political prisoners. Next week we're going to focus on Sheikh Jarrah. Next week we're going to focus on the killing of young children. Israel has a policy of maiming young boys. They shoot them in their knees. So the thing is that if you all focus on a very coordinated way, we can make a huge difference. We're not asking people to go there and give up their lives. We're asking people to make a concerted effort to build the solidarity. So what is it you can do? And not only, it's not for us to say, but for everybody else to participate in a discussion that, what can I do this week for 15 minutes to advance Palestine? What can I do for 20 minutes to advance my fellow South Africans' lives? Those are the things that make us better humans. It makes our society better and it makes us better. So, shall we, Kwaita, sorry. Wedana, Kwaita Wenana is here as well. I think that we have such a great array of women here on the platform today, and I'm so happy that Kwaita works for equal education. And I think that before you came, Kwaita, I was talking about the sterling work that equal education does. In a society so driven by inequality, education is an important part of creating the equality we need. And equal education has done sterling work. As I said, one of the biggest things about human dignity, our freedom was about human dignity, because apartheid robs people of their dignity. And when a child falls down a toilet, it robs our society of dignity. And the work that equal education has done in restoring the dignity of children and demanding our constitutional right for children to have equal education, You know, I always get so amazed that there's so many little things going on. And often now we speak, you know, you should do better, blah, blah, blah. But there's so many people doing amazing things in our society. And that is also with Muna and them. I'm sure in the Palestinian struggle, there are many people who do amazing work. And the focus on individuals is not necessarily correct. It is a focus of the people in resisting their own oppression. I think in South Africa during the 1980s, we did what we called mass insurrection. We got people to protest every single time until the government was no longer able to govern. And they were forced to make the change. So I think that that is the common struggle we have, and also the ongoing struggle. Struggle never ends, because once you have freedom, you also have to have economic equality, you have to have better education, you have to create the conditions for a better life. So I want to call... Come talk to everybody.
Shy.
Don't be shy.
Hi everyone. I want to recognize that we were a bit late, but it's a bit difficult to like organize from this side of town. You know, the Ubers are very scared to come this side, and it was just like difficult to get anyone to come and transport us. So, but next time we know we'll just take our own taxis and come. No more Ubers. They're not made for us anyway. But I don't come alone. So my name is Kwaita Wenana. I am an organizer. I'm the deputy head of organizing in the Western Cape at Equal Education. We organize in around 52 schools in the Western Cape. But I don't come just as an equal education organizer. I come as also a person, a community member that lives in Philippi. So I organize with a group of people called the Philippi Can, who were responding, you know, in the height of COVID and lockdowns to the most vulnerable in the community. So I bring a cater here from Equal Education, Aluncedo, and I bring Umesi. Also inviting them as part of this discussion, but also inviting the thousands of learners who are always taking to the streets, taking to the social media, and to say that this is not my story alone. It's the people that came here, the people who are not here, who are with me in spirit as well. So yeah, I greet you on behalf of all of them. So maybe let me start with equal education and then come to the personal level of how I was exposed to the Palestinian struggle. So Equal Education in 2008, in their third National Congress, where all of the different provinces, remember Equal Education organizes in 5 provinces, so over thousands of people came together, and in their Congress resolution, you know, we're charting ways forward to say what are the most political priority for us. And in 2018, the decision was made by all of those members that, you know, the Palestinian struggle is one of the most important struggles that we have to support as a grassroots movement. I just want to get a mantra or something. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 16-year-olds and 18-year-old. I don't even know what I was doing at that time, but they were like politically and socially aware how wrong and unjust the struggle in Palestine, and they were able to connect it to, you know, South Africa. And so naturally, on a personal level, I think as a black woman in South Africa who knows about the history of apartheid and who sees the effect of it in my parents, in my own life, you know, because I'm still situated at township, naturally, obviously, like I support Palestine, but also on a political, analytical level. We understand, Ubana, the same struggles that we were faced. I think Akeda here said it so brilliantly that the Israel state is an apartheid state. So that's how simple it is. And so we understand in Ubana, it's also the global like sort of narrative that's driven around to say that people of color or brown people are secondary or subhuman. And so and that is backed up. Israel is backed up by the US, is backed up by the United Nations and all of those people. So the global power is basically against, you know, the free expression, the cultural expression, and just the material conditions of black and brown people. Because yes, you know, like the Israel state is sort of seen, okanye, I'd say the Jewish people are seen as the victims because of maybe the Holocaust, but we also, like the Israel state in itself, is problematic to sort of subjugate abantu in those ways. But I became exposed to the Palestinian struggle when I was in university. So I want to highlight something here, and that is there are different ways in which we can become socially or politically aware of these struggles. And it requires work from all of us. Someone was saying that. It requires an ongoing, everyday sort of work. And how I was exposed was only when I was in university, right? And remember, there's another group of people that I was talking about who were exposed to the Palestinian struggle, not just because, it came on TV or social media, but because there are young people who are like politically engaged. They are like hungry to understand our society and how do we make it better. And so I think what must happen firstly is that there needs to be a lot of, when we're talking about solidarity, there needs to be a lot of awareness. So social awareness around us. And this comes in the form of having discussions about it. Last year at Equal Education, we're just, let's just watch a video and talk about that and see and feel it and what it's like. And I think that shouldn't only happen in movements, and it shouldn't only happen in academic spaces. I mean, even in academic spaces, it was difficult for us to bring up the Palestinian struggle at UCT. Or Jeremy, Aliyah would remember, would get into so much trouble just like trying to boycott and to tell UCT to not support, in an apartheid state. So it's very imperative that the people who are in this room also go to the streets and educate about, This is happening as we speak in Palestine. And so we don't have time to be, maybe, we'll post ebusuku, but, at this moment it's happening. So we need to be ready to get our hands dirty. And that is going to the streets and asking for Israel to stop what they're doing. It's going to the streets in different forms. And so I'm not one to advocate for just going and protesting on the streets, but we also have to use our social media activism. We also have to write, not a lot of literature that is accessible, like a poster or pamphlets, for a lot of the ordinary people in South Africa. So we need to make those available. In the text ring, I must see this thing and I must understand it. And so I think that's sort of the public political education that needs to happen, and it needs to come from all of us, from working with grassroots movements, but all of us being willing to get our hands dirty. And I think in Ogo, it comes for me at that point where there's nothing else that we have besides each other. Like for me, it's also like a global political problem. Because if we do not unite, the next thing so if my struggle in Philippi, with the woman she decides in Philippi, if we recognize that, and we can be able to give comfort to other comrades who are in need, and they can give comfort to us. So it should be a sort of a two-way situation where we are able to pledge solidarity and feed off each other's energies and fighting spirit. And I mean that in sort of just always being in contact with each other, whether it's via like Zoom or other ways. Like the modern age makes it very easy for us to be in contact. So I think we must create spaces where we can be able to connect, not just when there's a protest, but we are always connected. Like something that will remind us that our stories, our injustices are not isolated, that there's a bigger problem that's like at the very fundamental of our injustice. And I think, that's what I wanted to highlight today, and that is we need to do more of just bringing the knowledge to the people in ways that are understandable, because yes, at a much like smaller and greater scale, South Africans are standing up against it and they are supporting. But when you go to a logishini, people are just worried about, this thing that I'm experiencing now. I don't understand why should I connect? Why should I understand what's happening? Gandhi, it's just a matter of connecting the two and making sure that people understand what's happening and how do we stop it. And to encourage people to move where they are, to fight from where they are, and in a way, to connect at some point. I'm an intersectional feminist, and that means that, I understand that all violences are connected to each other, and that for me, I don't walk around as black today, just as black, and then I don't walk around as a woman today, and then I don't walk around as like a working class. Like I walk around as a black working class woman, and that for me, already I understand what like the intersecting violences mean. And then when you bring it to apartheid and how that still continue, its legacies continue, that's why I'm saying naturally it's easy for me to understand the struggle, but we must make it easy for other people as well. So that it's not the 10% who are moving forward and calling for justice, but it's the thousands who are at equal education, the others who live with them and stay with them, and the ones that we know, that we are going there forward in different ways. Because Mamela, we don't all, like, we can't just be on the street. We need everyone. Everyone has a role in the struggle. Someone was also saying that. And I guess, as a last speaker, I'm just here to affirm all of those things. Those are the things that at Equal Education we also do, is that there's a parent sector, because parents understand why it's important to have education. It's supposed to be the thing that gives you social mobility, but it's also supposed to free you and to be able to think as a better person. And then we have the post-school youth who are actually outside of that basic education sector, but they are here to say, the struggles that you are facing in basic education, I find them there in university, because a lot of us are excluded there, academic and financially so. So that's what I mean by saying that we need to just make sure that we are all aware of these injustices and how they connect to each other, and the ways in which we can individually act, but as a collective we can charge forward and call end for the apartheid system, call an end to racism, call an end to capitalism, so that the last is first, so that the people who are supposed to actually be there culturally expressing themselves and living their lives stay, so that we can have a free Palestine, and that we can have a free world. Thank you.
Thank you, Koita. Thank you very much. Once again, another amazing woman who's done so much in her young age. I had the pleasure of taking one of the Palestinian activists who came before COVID. There's life before COVID and after COVID. So I think it was before COVID. It was Badi Dwight. He came to address Palestinian students. And what they do is they give cameras to young activists to actually just film the regime there. So, it's a powerful tool, because every time the regime tries to commit atrocities against individuals, they record it. And so he came and he spoke to the equal education activists there. We had a number of people there, young people. And they were fascinated. And the reason we call everybody here to put forward their views is to show that, we can create the connection. Mona, it's not about it is hard and it will remain hard. It's true, that's true. But also it is about the hope of freedom. And we hope that despite all our difficulties, we have achieved one milestone in removing apartheid. And you too will receive and achieve that milestone. So I think everybody is waiting for Muna to speak and speak about her perspectives and tell us. And I think that once she's done, I'm hoping that all of you can participate in the conversation as well, and engage with Muna too. But before I give you the mic, Muna, Imam Harun's daughter gave you a book from her father. She said she didn't want to inundate you because she knows everybody's been coming at you, but she wanted to give you. And Imam Harun is he's an important leader from Cape Town, and he was martyred in his fight against apartheid and oppression. So I've given her the book. So thank you. If you want to come up now and
Assalamu alaikum. I can feel you because every time I speak in English, I get very nervous. So, but when she was speaking Africans, I wasn't understanding anything. So I realized that when I speak Arabic, no one understands. So I'll try speaking in English, and maybe then Abdullah will do some job. Okay, I think that I can't add a lot after these beautiful ladies' speeches. But I want to start with asking you, what do you know about Palestine? Al-Aqsa Mosque, Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, only? Do you know enough about Palestine to support Palestine? You should. Because I think without the knowledge, without the information about a case that we are fighting for, we can't really fight for it without all this information, all this knowledge. So this is my first message to all youth and all the people of South Africa and all over the world. It is very nice to see you wearing kufiyas and holding the Palestinian flag. It is like, I really feel like home. I really feel like I'm with my people. I really do. I really do. But as they say, we need actions. We need to do more so we can see the results. And we need results. And don't forget that you, as South Africans, lived similar to what we are Palestinians living nowadays. And such as she said, that it's more worse that we are living now in Palestine. The forced removals, I think I can conclude everything with ethnic cleansing and war crimes. So it is very hard to live in Palestine with this occupation. And because of this, we need actions. And I always say that in Palestine, it is not a legal cause. It is a political cause. Because of this, I think that we need to put pressure on the governments, the South African governments, other governments, to do something, to make a political move against the Israeli occupation, to boycott Israel, to cut the relationship with it, to stop, to not the Miss South Africa, not to go to Israel, to boycott Coca-Cola, to boycott Puma, to boycott all these Israeli products and all the companies that support Israel. I wrote something in English, so I can read it from here. The role that you people play abroad, like Palestinians or others, in putting pressure on your governments and encouraging boycott and imposing sanctions on the Israeli occupation to stop its war crimes against the Palestinians. This is a very important matter and has a great impact on pressure, advocacy, and political actions. So this is what I was trying to say, but this is in like a good sentence. It's hard. I can say this, it's hard. I'm very happy that the majority here are women. And I want to say that I'm really appreciate شو يعني وجود the presence of the women, because I think that the women have the main role in every مقاومة لا والله okay, in every struggle all over the world, not only in Palestine or in South Africa. So I think that we, women, should continue fighting and know our responsibilities. Know our responsibilities for our own causes, our own problems, and act. So you should fight for you as women, for your dignity, for you to still exist and living like a normal life. Bad English, don't clap. Okay, Abdullah, you can now do something and help me. Come here. Come here when I say something in Arabic so I can relief. بدي أشكركم كتير إنكم دعوتوني اليوم لهاي الجامعة. سعيدة جدا بتواجدي معكم، وعن جد فيش كلام كتير ينحكى بعد كل شي شفته وسمعته من النساء خاصة، وكل الناس اللي قابلتهم في جنوب أفريقيا من حد ما تواجدت هون من قبل عدة أيام. قد ما شفت دعم، قد ما شفت معرفة، قد ما شفت شغف من الناس إنهم يحاربوا لأجلي أنا كفلسطينية. وعن جد لما أحكي إنه أنا حاسة إني ببيتي، فأنا عن جد حاسة إني ببيتي، لأني شايفة إنه الناس عانت زي ما أنا عانيت. كنا قبل شوي ب District 6 وأنا شفت كيف الناس تهجرت وراحت وصار في مكانهم أراضي فاضية حتى إنه البيض ما سكنوها. وشفت كيف إنه عدد قليل جدا من أهالي هاي المنطقة فقط رجعوا، مش الكل. وهذا بذكرني بالفلسطينيين اللي عايشين برا البلاد وحق العودة. فكل ما بمشي بشارع من شوارع جنوب أفريقيا عمالي بحس عن جد قديه في بيناتنا نضال مشترك وتاريخ مشترك. فبس اللي بدي أختم فيه إنكم استمروا في دعمنا، لأنه أكيد أنتوا حاسين فينا. He's much better.
In nothing. First of all, these are her words. First of all, I would like to thank you to the college for inviting me here today, and for the organizers for inviting me to speak here today. I'm very happy and very glad to be with you. There isn't much words that I can add to what the other speakers have said, or to what I've heard during this whole trip in South Africa, because I can see since I arrived that South Africans actually do understand us, and they do understand our struggle. There is lots of support, and there is lots of knowledge, and there is lots of enthusiasm in the South African society. I feel like I'm at home, and when I say it, I don't joke. I was in District 6 earlier, and I saw how people were displaced or kicked out of their homes, and how most of the land now is still empty. Even white people didn't use it for themselves, so they just basically kicked the residents out and never used it. And that also gave me When I saw that only, we were told that only about 150 people came back, and that reminded me about the right of return for Palestinians. And it reminds me how important that right is. I walk around South Africa, and I walk around the city of Cape Town, and I see the connected struggles, and I see that we have a shared history. For that reason, I do urge you to continue supporting us, because you do understand us, and we understand you. Thank you very much. Okay, it's just like about questions, and I think the floor will be open later, right?
Mersha has to go, but Muna, she wanted to give you a small gift.
I have to show this. When I was in my first trip into my first trip to Palestine was in 2000. There've been many since then, but this was a scarf that was given to me by comrades. So it's a really beautiful scarf. So when I came today, I thought I would share with you something from Africa. So I'd like to give, but you must open it. Okay. She can show you how to wear it later. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Mersha has to leave. She has another engagement. It's her husband's birthday, and we want to convey from the hall best wishes to him on his birthday. So we know that she made a tremendous effort to come. Once again, the sacrifice of women to do the right thing. Thank you. I want to now open the questions. We have all said a mouthful, and I think that if there's anybody who wants to speak, but we ask you to say what you have to say in 30 seconds, because the more people that can speak and answer, then everybody can participate in the conversation. Any takers? I know women are shy, but don't be shy. We're amongst ourselves here mainly. Any hands? Okay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. And good day. The one thing that is resounding from our great panelists up on our podium is that when you mobilize a woman, you mobilize a nation. So when you educate a woman, you absolutely educate a nation. Come, ladies, it is our turn to do our share.
Okay, we do give stuff just now. Let's proceed with the questions. There's another hand, that side. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, Muna, I want to say you're a very brave woman. And I understand you come out of the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, which is in occupied West Bank. Tell me, what is the relationship in the West Bank with the Palestinian people towards the PA and towards the Hamas movement? Because I understand, it's my understanding that Hamas enjoys massive support in the West Bank as well. So I'd just like to your take on generally on the feeling of the people towards the PA. Thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, it's in Sheikh Jarrah is in Jerusalem, not in West Bank. But I can answer you that us youth, Palestinian youth, like nowadays, have no faith in all parties, all political parties. Like they have done a lot in the past, but now I don't think that they are doing what they are supposed to do. So I think that we youth have شو الإيمان بسرعة نسيت the belief in ourselves, in our leadership, to continue to fight against the occupation. Thank you.
This young man at the back. Oh, yeah. And then the young lady at the back from Livingston School. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Trust you well. My name is Yusuf Mohammed. To Muna, I'd like to ask you, what can we South Africans do more to help the cause of the Palestinians? And I'll tell you why. Recently, I was invited. You were at that function. I won't say where. Abdullah was there. Imad Tofa was there. We actually had Coca-Cola on the table. Okay. I saw the look on your face because I pick up on body language. But I think we need to do more. You know, marching is not enough. You know, everybody has a gift, and we need to realize that gift, and we need to unleash that gift to aid Palestine. Now, how you go about doing that discreetly or showing your support actively on social media, but I think we need to do more. Lip service is too much lip service in our community, and I think we need to do more. Right? So I've been a Palestinian activist supporting Palestine in the 90s. I wrote 2 books. Muna, you've got my book. I think Abdullah, I've given you my book. You'll find my role in supporting Palestine within that book.
Can I ask you to conclude, please? We've got other speakers.
I just want to know, Muna, what do you think we should do more? Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. And the young lady behind you?
Hello everyone, my name is Iema Mobe and I am from Livingston High School. So my question goes like this. Why is it, okay, speaking out of gender inequality, right? Why is it always that we know that women have to be educated, right? But why are men not doing anything about it? Like, look at here today. Most people that are here are females. Why are men not also standing and supporting us in fighting this issue, but only the female? Why? What's going on? Why are we doing nothing about this? Why is it always the women who have to struggle, but the men sit back and discriminate us? That's my question.
Thank you. Well, just a point of clarity, we advertise this as a mainly women's meeting. The men who are here, they came bravely. Okay.
I would like to greet everyone. My name is Tato Mukutle from Livingston High. And I would like to raise a point that I, as a young black South African woman, I feel it's hard for me to become an activist because I have no voice. I'm at the bottom of everything because, like if you think about it, I feel that it's hard for me because I am black and I am mostly, people are racist and like racism is very hard on me. Because like even me coming here today was very hard because I was like, there are so many Muslim people and I'm like the only black person, and I felt like the mentality that they have instilled in us is very hard to break. And it's hard to have a platform when everyone turns their back on you saying that you are immature, you do not know what you're talking about. It's hard when you know for a fact what you want to say, you know that you know what you stand for, but they just don't want to listen to you. They don't want to to say whatever you want to say. It's like your voice is just stuck in your throat and you can't say anything about it. You can't fight. But I will try my best, my utmost best, to stand with Palestine. I will try my best to be with you throughout everything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to allow any further questions because Muna has had a really long day and a really long week. I think that she's a young woman. She needs also a bit of time for herself. And so I'm going to ask you to please indulge me. For the people who want to come and hand over from the Islamic College, just a hand over if... Okay, yeah, sure.
بخصوص سؤال الأستاذ عن شو ممكن ينعمل، زي ما دايما بقول ممكن أجاوبها باختصار بأنه كونوا كرييتيف. يعني أنا اليوم كنت بسولت ريفر وشفت كتير رسمات على الحيطان، هذه بالنسبة إلي المقاومة. لما يمرق شخص غريب من هناك ويشوف هاي الرسمة أكيد رح يتساءل ويعرف أكتر عن القضية الفلسطينية، فهذه بالنسبة إلي مقاومة. تكتب عن الموضوع هذا مقاومة. تستعملوا السوشيال ميديا إشي كتير مهم، لأنه إحنا شفنا بالآونة الأخيرة إيش السوشيال ميديا بتقدر تعمل، لكن بنفس الوقت مش كفاية. فلازم نستمر بعمل حملات وضغوطات على أرض الواقع، وهذا جدا مهم. وما تنسوا أول جملة قلت لكم إياها، إنه القضية الفلسطينية مش قضية قانونية، قضية سياسية بحتة، وبالتالي أي عمل ممكن يشكل ضغط سياسي على حكومة الاحتلال فهو أمر ناجع جدا وناجح جدا يمكنكم القيام به.
So with regards to the question on what should we do, it's be creative. Today we passed through Salt River and we saw some drawings that were painted on the walls of Salt River. That is a creative way of mobilizing and resistance. Where if a stranger passes from there and sees these pictures, will start questioning what is the purpose and where they come from and why and what's happening. Write about the situation in Palestine, use social media effectively. And because social media has proven that it is effective, but that's not enough. We need to do more on the ground. We need to be more proactive and do more actions on the ground. We always say that Palestine and the Palestinian cause is not a legal cause, but a political one. For that reason, we also need to do more political work to support Palestine.
So any political work is it will be effective. أما بسؤال بخصوص الصبية التعليق اللي علقته والسؤال اللي بعده، فهذا سؤال صعب، بس إحنا مش عايشين بعالم وردي، إحنا عايشين بالواقع وشايفين إنه للأسف إحنا بمجتمع ذكوري أبوي متسلط بحارب المرأة. فعشان هيك إحنا كنساء دائما بندعو بعض وبندعم بعض عشان نكون مثقفات ووعيات أكتر، عشان نفهم حقوقنا ونعرف ندافع عن حالنا. فهذه نقطة جدا مهمة. إجابة على السؤال تاع الصبية الصغيرة، بدي أقول لك يا عزيزتي إنه مش بس أنت عشانك سوداء البشرة فأنت بتتعرضي لظلم واضطهاد وبتحسي إنك صوتك مش مسموع. أنا باعتقادي كل امرأة في العالم بتحس هذا الإحساس، لأنه بالنهاية إحنا انخلقنا بهذا المجتمع المقرف الذكوري اللي ما بده إيانا أصلاً وبشوفنا عنصر جداً ثانوي. عشان هيك دايماً بحاول بأي لقاء أحكي إنه عن جد كان للمرأة الدور الأكبر في كل نضال ومقاومة وين ما كانت. لذلك شكراً إنك بالآخر قلتي على الرغم من كل هذا رح تحاولي تقاتلي لآخر نفس، وهذا اللي إحنا عمالنا بنعمله. إحنا اليوم كبنات فلسطينيات قدرنا نورجي كل العالم إنه إحنا النساء دائماً ما كنا في المقدمة وما زلنا في المقدمة في أي نضال كان، في الأشياء الثقافية في الأشياء السياسية أيضاً دائماً بنكون أول ناس على الشارع. وهذا كله قدرتوا تشوفوه كلكم على السوشيال ميديا. وهي أنا قدامك اليوم مسلمة اللي يمكن كتير ناس بتشوف الإسلام إرهاب، لكن أنا موجودة بحجابي اللي بفتخر فيه أمامك، وأنا في النهاية امرأة.
To the two ladies or young ladies that spoke earlier, it is a very difficult question to answer, but I just want you to say that, yes, we do live in a patriarchal society, but we as women, you as women, have to support each other. That's what she said. Oh, I can't see we. Hey. So, as women need to support each other and educate each other and support each other in education, because there are so many challenges in this patriarchal society. You as and the girl who said that she feels like that it's difficult because of the color of your skin, because you are black, it's really difficult to come here and you feel that there is still oppression and racism. It's also, that's true, but all women feel that they feel discrimination in one way or another in this patriarchal state. But we shouldn't forget that there is a major role for women in the struggle, in all struggles, in all different types of struggle. So thank you very much for coming today, and thank you for being so courageous and strong to still, despite everything that you go through, come to this event and participate. And Mona then gave the example of how Palestinian women, and she herself as a woman, if you follow her on social media, you will see that women are standing in the front line, fighting for justice and for liberation. They fight for, in all the social level, but also on political level. And they don't leave spaces for others. They don't leave the spaces just because they are uncomfortable. They claim the space because they have the right to be there. You all saw that she, as a young Muslim lady traveling around the world, she has been, and it is common to be called terrorist just because she's wearing the hijab, just because she is a woman. Yet she is proud of this hijab, the scarf on her head, and she will continue fighting because it is the right thing to do.
Okay, thank you very much, Muna. Thank you. I think that before we allow you to come on, let us conclude. I would like to offer thanks to all of those present. I'm sorry, we have to, we can go on the whole night, but Muna has to leave, and she is extremely tired, so I think we just need to give her a little bit of space. Thank you very much to everybody for coming here. To leave a Saturday afternoon nap to come and sit in a meeting takes some sacrifice. So thank you very much for coming. I think the reason we raised this question about what to do, in our struggle, the international struggle was fundamentally about ensuring that ordinary citizens in their country deny the apartheid state to continue. So it is only when all of us, and not all of us of a particular religion or a particular color, can come together, but when the majority of South Africans stand together and demand that the government puts an end to oppression, then it will happen. And we can show in our neighborhood the example. As we know, the African Union, it's an important thing. And in the African Union, Israel has been trying to, I'll use the word infiltrate, and we need to put a stop to that, because if they get legitimacy, they have managed to co-opt many Arab leaders, and they're now trying to co-opt African leaders. What their intention is to isolate the Palestinian people and their cause.
Although this is a colonial struggle, like Moshe said, they are Christians.
I think that that's a fundamental point. The struggle in Palestine, and I think Muna has said it, is not a religious struggle. It's a struggle against colonialism. There are religions, different religions, and so we also narrow the struggle when we narrow it to a Muslim struggle and we narrow it to Al-Aqsa. This is a struggle for freedom, because if Al-Aqsa, tomorrow the Israelis say there's unfettered access to Al-Aqsa, does that mean that the Palestinian struggle is over? No, because it is dispossession and it's ethnic cleansing, and those are deeply political issues. And also it requires an international movement to build again and to make sure that the Israeli state cannot legitimately continue in its current form or in any form. So I think that we need to see, and often the thing we love most about Palestine is based on our religious beliefs, and there's nothing wrong with that. But also to recognize, because, you know, the Christian community has also been very much under attack in Palestine by the Zionists. Those settlers go there and defile churches. They do all kinds of despicable things, and we need to also speak up about those. You know, oftentimes we don't know because we get confused. We think that a name that sounds Muslim to us is actually Muslim, but it's actually it's Palestinian and it's Arabic, because Christian Palestinians speak Arabic. I was once, I know there was, I think the mayor of, was it the mayor of Jerusalem who was a Christian? There was a mayor who came to Johannesburg. In Bethlehem. It was Christian, and the people dragged him to mosque based on his name. But he went because he said, you know, in Palestine, Muslims and Christians live harmoniously. Thank you very much for coming. I think that we can say that at the end of this, everybody must be energized. We need to make sure that the international struggle is not about us internally here. It's about sending the message to the international community, to our own government, and leadership in Africa as well. That is the purpose of international struggle. It's not to please ourselves and only that. So even in the way we engage, the way we have meetings, I think that the young students there, they express some reservation, and that reservation is present. We can't only talk amongst ourselves. We need to extend the struggle. And people in South Africa automatically have affinity for the Palestinian struggle because of the similar experiences, and also because we all love freedom. Many people in our community, you know, sometimes we see, here today we see Imam Haroon. The other day we saw Ashley Krill. But there are tens of thousands of people who were killed in our struggle. In 1987, on a single day, the apartheid regime arrested 10,000 people. I don't know if people remember that, on a single day. But so what happens is we understand, and every community in South Africa understands. So thank you very much. I don't want to belabor the point. Okay, let me just allow these young ladies to put it on, and I think we need to conclude. Can I ask you to ask the question privately, because if we open the floor again, we're just going to carry on ad nauseum. Can you come through? This is from Islamia, you say? Yeah, this is from Islamia College, Muna. Okay. And thank you, Islamia, for the venue. Thank you very much. I'm now going to conclude the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. And thanks for attending.
Very fantastic.
Yeah, is the food parcels outside? Or
Yeah, outside. There's something to nibble and something.
blinding flash of white light lit up the sky over Gaza tonight. People running for cover, not knowing whether they're dead or alive. They came with their tanks and their planes, with ravaging fiery flames, but nothing remains, just a voice rising up in the smoky haze. We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die.